G'day guys, welcome to my RX Spies feature video. Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about NRL Round 17 recap preview for 2020 guys. Let's get started. So starting off with this first match of this game, we see the Broncos going up against the Panthers. Now, this game was quite accurate, but the Panthers really did their job pretty well. As you can see, like, the Panthers have basically won, I think, 12 straight wins without no losses, and that's pretty good for them club, because I just think that they will have that reboot of their club, like, really good. But next week we're going to go up against our team, so Panthers and Eels playing next round anyway, so that's going to be a real hard game anyway, but we're not talking about that, we're talking about this anyway. But it was definitely 25 points to 12, and I took the Panthers in this game, and they obviously won by that margin. So I hate to say that the Broncos didn't really do a good job for winning their club. They are struggling so much, but they couldn't find any potential to obviously win this game, because the Panthers are just a killer of a team, and they just don't make it easy for the Broncos anyway. But let's have a look at their tries anyways. What we have here is Tony Staggs and Jordan Ricky from the Broncos. And from the Panthers, let's have a look at their tries anyways. What we have here is Josh Mansour, Kurt Capewell, Jerome Luai, and Brian Toto. And my player of the game, which I think that stood out the most, was number 7 from the Panthers, Nathan Cleary. And I think he has a really good game, and I really do hope he has a wonderful career at the Panthers, because I just think he suits their club, and I reckon he'll go with the club if he doesn't do really well. But if he gets injured, or say for instance Episode Carousel gets injured, they're going to struggle a little bit, but I reckon they'll still find their form and basically win some games of football anyway. The next game of that match, we see the Knights going up against the Sharks. Now, this game was pretty accurate by the Sharks, and they did really sloppy in that game. But the first half in that match, Ronaldo Multalo scored a try, and I cannot believe that he never really scores a try like in a while, but he just pretty much didn't go as planned in that game. But for the Sharks though, only the first half in that game was absolutely top notch, but in the second half they were playing really shocking and real sloppy. But then they were playing very heated in that game, and that's how fights happen in that match. Because obviously, Chad Townsend, number 7 from the Sharks, obviously shoulder charged Kalen Ponga, and that's how that blue happened. And that game was pretty much top notch by the Knights, and they were playing so much better. And finally, they won the match 38 points to 10 in that game. And I cannot believe it, though, that the Knights were playing absolutely accurate in that match. But let's have a look at their tries anyway. So what we have here is Stafford Toa that scored 2 tries. Kalen Ponga that scored 3 tries. What a hat-trick of him. What a great play he's having. Lachlan Fitzgibbon and Josh King. And my player of... No, hang on. Let's have a look at the Sharks' tries anyway. So what we have here is Ronaldo Multalo and Connor Tracy. And my player of the game went to number 6 from the Knights, Kurt Mann. I think he has a wonderful game out there. I reckon he stands out for the club. And I just think he always suits the club, because he just runs with the ball and knows what to do. So I'm just thinking he does a really good job for the Newcastle Knights anyway. But it was 38 points to 10 anyway. And I took the Knights anyway. The next game of that match, we see the Rabbitohs going up against the Storm. Now, this game was really accurate, very average game of football, but the Rabbitohs were not contending very well. If it was contention, but the Rabbitohs didn't really look as planned because they didn't play really well in the first half, but they were playing alright. And the Rabbitohs didn't really put on a lot of effort in that game because I know Corey Allen doesn't really put a lot of effort in that match. But I didn't think he obviously would have scored a try anyway, and he didn't. So thankfully, my hopes came to plant. But it was definitely 22 points to 16 in that game. Very close game, very accurate, and I just have to say, very average game of football. But the Storm, they really held it on really well, and they were a killer team out there, and I just think that game was really pretty much an alright game, but it was pretty close because I thought to myself that the Rabbitohs weren't going to get a win, but they didn't. Obviously, the Storm made it a win, and I just thought to myself that this game didn't really go to as planned. So, yeah, that game was just accurate and pretty much shocking in that match. But let's have a look at the Rabbitohs tries anyway. So what we have here is Campbell Graham and Cody Walker. Let's have a look at the Storm tries anyway. So what we have here is Ryan Pappenhausen, Justin Olam, Tino Fasua Malawi, and Cameron Munster. And my player of the game went to number 1 from the Melbourne Storm, Ryan Pappenhausen. I think he has a really good game every single time he plays a match, and he's so fast, and I just think he has a really good game of football, and he just leads the players out there, and I reckon he'll have a wonderful career at the Melbourne Storm anyway. So it was definitely 22 points to 16 for that scoreline anyway. The next game of that match, we see the Bulldogs going up against Titans. Now, this game was pretty terrible, kind of alright, but these two sides are, well, I know the Titans are 13th and Bulldogs are on 16th, the Wooden Spooners, but they were playing really terrible for the Bulldogs, and they were playing shocking across the park, and I know for a fact that they usually do. But it was definitely 18 points to 14 in that game, and the Titans were playing really much better in that game, and they just really stand up into that match, and they were absolutely top-notch team that just really grown, and basically credit to them for making a really good win anyway. But I just have to say, for the Bulldogs, they really need to aim up into their defence if they want to win a game. I said it last couple of weeks, they need to aim up if they want to win a game. But looks like they're not, because they aren't really getting the benefit of the doubt for the team. But I know for a fact that they are struggling. I do understand that, but still, you can't just play and then obviously work hard, because I know for a fact if you're sitting on the 16th position, that will mean that you're not basically going to win every time. You're going to be struggling for that team. But let's have a look at the Bulldogs tries anyway. So what we have here is Nick Meaney, Kieran Foran, and Lachlan Lewis. Let's have a look at the Titans tries anyway. So what we have here is Corey Thompson, Bo Firma, Jamal Fogarty, and Anthony Don. And my player of the game went to number 7 from the Titans, Jamal Fogarty anyway. The next game of that match, we see the Manly Seagulls going up against the West Tigers. So what can I say about this game? That game was really average game of football, and they were putting on a lot of fight in that game. But basically, the West Tigers were putting on a lot of pressure up against the Manly Seagulls. But the first half of the West Tigers, they were playing all right in that game, but they were playing like really solid. And to be honest though, what can I say about this match? 34 points to 32 in that game, and the West Tigers just obviously won by 2 points. But I did tipped the Manly Seagulls, which I thought to myself they thought they were going to win, but the West Tigers just really played solid in that game, and I really do hope that they take a really good team for themselves, but they are a really good team anyway. But let's have a look at their tries anyway. So what we have here is Morgan Harper that scored 2 tries, George Tafua, Jack Krzyzewski, Tavita Funa, and Jake Trevich. Well, so let's have a look at the West Tigers tries anyway. So what we have here is David Nofaluma that scored 3 tries, Moses Mbai, Adam Dewey that scored 2 tries, and that's really it. So my player of the game went to number 19, which is number 2 on the wing, Morgan Harper. I think he had a really good game and really stand out into that attack, and I just think he had a really good option of winning that game that scored 2 tries anyway. So I just think he really stand out in that game, and they were, but unfortunately though they did lose by 2 points, and I feel so sorry for the Manly Seagulls anyway. But yeah, hope for the best, and luckily the West Tigers got the job done, and yeah, 2 points for them made a really good win anyway. The next game of that match, we see the Raiders going up against Roosters. Now, this game was pretty sloppy by the Raiders. They weren't playing at their best. The only try that basically scored by the Raiders was John Bateman. He was playing a really good game out there, and I just think he's standing out across the park. But the rest of them didn't play as best. I know they were basically putting pressure on the Roosters, because they are a really top team, the Roosters, and they were just solid across the park. But it was definitely 18 points to 6, and that game was absolutely credit by the Roosters for making 3 tries of themselves. But let's have a look at their tries anyway. So what we have here is James Tedesco that scored 2 tries, and Daniel Tupou. And the only tries that scored for the Raiders, as I mentioned before, was John Bateman. And my player of the game went to number 1 from the Sydney Roosters, James Tedesco. I think he had a really good matchup every single time. He played a really good game. I think he just had a wonderful game of football. But every single time I see this guy play, he really stands out across the park, and yeah, really held on for that team, and credit for him. He had a really good matchup, and I just think he has a really good game every single time he plays for his club. But for the rest of them, I think Daniel Tupou had a really good game out there too, and I just think he stand out solid in that game. But also, Josh Morris and Brett Morris had a really good game out there too, and I just think he always, for them to have a really good game out there, and yeah, credit for them too for making a really solid effort, but not for a try anyway. But it was definitely 18 points to 6, and well done from the Roosters for making a really good win anyway. The next game of that match, we see the Warriors going up against Eagles. Now, this game was pretty tactic, and the Eagles were quite alright, but they weren't playing as their best in the first half. But then they were pretty accurate in the second half, and they played really better. Like last week, they were playing shocking last week, but then this week, they were playing really solid, absolutely incredible by them, and 24 points to 18 made a really good win for their club. I just thought to myself that the Warriors, I thought to myself that they were going to win in that game, but unfortunately they didn't. I feel so sorry for the Warriors, and unfortunately though, they were playing a really good game out there, and I just think for myself that the Warriors were playing alright, 50-50 says they were playing really good, and the other 50 saying they were playing horrible and terrible. But anyway, let's have a look at their tries for the Warriors anyway. So what we have here is Chanel Harris-Tavita that scored 2 tries, and Hayes Perham. Let's have a look at the Eels tries anyway. So what we have here is Michael Sevo, Jai Field, Blake Ferguson, and Wonga Blake. And my player of the game went to number 6 from the Parramatta Eels that swapped for Dylan Brown, Jai Field. I just think he has a really good game out there. Every single time I see this guy play, he's always a speedster. He was a former Dragons player, but then he moved to the Eels. I think he has a wonderful game every single time he plays for his club. And I just think the boys out there really stood it really hard. And yeah, 24 points to 18 was a really good win for the Parramatta Eels, but I feel so sorry for the Warriors anyway. And last but certainly not least, we see the Cowboys going up against Dragons. Now, this game was pretty accurate. They were fired up in that game, and I thought to myself that this game was really alright by the Dragons, and they were playing really better. But unfortunately, though, they didn't get the job done, unfortunately, because Valentine Holmes, in the extra time in the first half in that game, made a winning performance for the Cowboys. 23 points to 22 in that game, and that game was pretty tight and really close for that match. But the Dragons didn't really hold on as planned, but I thought to myself that Corey Norman was basically going to get the field goal, but he didn't, and he wasn't playing as solid as other players were. But I just had to say, well done to the Cowboys for making a really good effort. And finally, they made a really good win out there. But they're still not a top 8 team in their club. So let's have a look at their tries anyway for the Cowboys. So what we have here is Francis Molo, Jake Clifford, Valentine Holmes, and Kyle Felt. Let's have a look at the Dragons tries anyway. So what we have here is Yuan Aiken, Michaeli Ravalawa, and Jacob Host. And my player of the game went to number 6 from the Cowboys, Scott Drinkwater. I just think he has a really good game out there. He was killing it out there, and credit for him for making a really good play, and credit for him for making a really good win for their club that really stood out across the park and making points going up and making a really good win for their team. But yeah, 23 points to 22 for making a really good game, and well done for Valentine Holmes that kicked that field goal to make it 23 points to 22 win anyway. Thanks guys for watching my video, guys. Stay tuned for more. I will be doing a couple of videos coming to you guys soon. Also, I'll be doing more videos coming to you guys soon, so stay tuned for more. Plus, leave a like and subscribe to my YouTube channel and for this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Till then, take care guys, stay safe, and have a good one. Plus, let's get up to 200 subscribers. We're sitting on 172 anyway, so let's get up to that, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Take care.